The hot dog you switch to, the one that says no nitrates, the one in the natural foods aisle, the one you're paying double for, has almost the same nitrate levels as the cheap ones, same chemistry, different labels. And that's just brand number 2 on this list. By the end, you'll know exactly which 7 to never touch, and 7 actually worth buying. Let me start with something that reframes this entire conversation. Because once you know this, you can't unknow it. You've seen hot dogs labeled uncured, no nitrates added, natural, they cost more. They sit in the health section. They feel like the responsible choice when you're trying to feed your family something that isn't terrible. Here's what the label isn't telling you. Uncured hot dogs are almost always cured. Instead of adding sodium nitrate directly, they use celery powder or celery juice as the nitrate source. Because celery is naturally extremely high in nitrates. You add celery powder to meat, let it sit, and the chemical reaction that happens is essentially identical to conventional curing. Same chemistry, different ingredient name, very different price tag. The USDA actually knows this. They require those packages to carry a disclaimer, right there on the label, that says, except for those naturally occurring in celery powder. That text is legally required. It's on the packaging you're holding in the grocery store right now. It's just not in the same font as no nitrates added on the front. Nathan Bryan, a food scientist at Baylor College of Medicine, has been publishing on this for years. His work shows that nitrate content in uncured products is often comparable to, and sometimes actually higher than, in conventionally cured ones. I'm telling you this now because 2 of the 7 brands on the avoid list are built entirely on this claim, and one of them is probably sitting in your fridge. Brand 7, Ballpark Franks. Let's start accessible. Ballpark is everywhere. Cookouts, gas stations, every grocery store in America. And on the surface, it's fine. Beef and pork, sure. Then you keep reading. Corn syrup, 4th ingredient. Not sugar. Corn syrup. In a hot dog. Nobody's asking for sweetness in their hot dog, but it's there because corn syrup improves texture and shelf stability at almost no cost to the manufacturer. It also contains mechanically separated turkey. I want to make sure you actually know what that means, because the label says it like it's nothing. Mechanically separated meat is what you get when you take a poultry carcass after the main cuts have been removed and force the remaining material through a sieve under high pressure until it becomes a paste. That paste goes into the hot dog. It is legal. It is disclosed. It is in the 5th line small print. Sodium comes in at around 500 milligrams per franc. That's 20% of your daily recommended limit. Before the bun, before the ketchup, before the second hot dog. Brand 6, Oscar Mayer, Classic Wieners. This is the brand most of us grew up with. The jingle, the Wienermobile, the thing your mom packed in your lunch, which makes this part genuinely uncomfortable to say. Mechanically separated turkey is the first ingredient. Not beef, not pork. Mechanically separated turkey paste is what you're primarily buying when you buy Oscar Mayer Classic Wieners. Corn syrup follows, then sodium nitrite, directly added. In 2015, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, part of the WHO, classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, same category as tobacco and asbestos. I want to be precise here. That classification is about the category of risk, not a comparison of dose. One hot dog is not equivalent to one cigarette. Dose matters enormously. But the classification is real. It was peer-reviewed by 22 scientists across 10 countries, and Oscar Mayer's ingredient list is not doing anything to reduce your exposure. It's maximizing it. Brand 5, Hebrew National. The brand trust on Hebrew National is genuinely earned in some ways. Kosher standards are strict. No pork, no mixing of certain animal products. That matters to a lot of people, and it's a real commitment. But here's what kosher certification doesn't cover. Sodium. Hebrew National runs over 550 milligrams of sodium per franc, among the highest numbers of any major brand in this category. And sodium nitrite is still in there, directly added alongside the kosher certification. The higher authority apparently didn't weigh in on cardiovascular risk. If you've been buying Hebrew National because it feels like the more careful choice, it is in some specific ways. But the sodium number alone is worth knowing. Okay, here's the one I genuinely did not expect to end up on this list, and I think this is the one that's going to hit closest to home for most people watching this. Brand 4, Tyson Hot Dogs. Tyson's hot dog line leads with mechanically separated chicken, listed alongside pork and beef. But it's there. That's the floor-level concern. The thing that actually kept me on this one longer is carrageenan. Carrageenan is a thickener derived from seaweed. It sounds harmless. It's literally seaweed. But research published in journals including Frontiers in Pediatrics and the journal Nutrients has raised questions about its effect on intestinal inflammation and gut lining integrity. The FDA still classifies it as generally recognized as safe. That designation hasn't been revisited in a meaningful way in years. Here's the question I kept coming back to. Why does a hot dog need a thickener? What exactly is being thickened? And why does it need help holding its shape? Tyson also had a documented USDA-flagged recall in 2021 for potential contamination. That's public record and verifiable. One event doesn't define a brand, but when the base product already raises questions, it matters. Brand 3, Gwaltney Great Dogs. Smaller name, bigger problems per dollar spent. The label lists variety meats. Under current USDA labeling rules, that term can legally include heart, tongue, and esophagus. Not hypothetically, the regulation exists specifically because these are permitted ingredients. They don't have to list which organs, just the umbrella term. Corn syrup is in there, starch is in there. Sodium sits around 480 milligrams. Every single ingredient choice on this label reflects a product built to the lowest possible cost at every decision point. If you're buying Gwaltney because it's the most affordable thing on the shelf, I understand that completely, and I'm not here to shame anyone over a grocery budget. But I'm going to give you a budget alternative in a few minutes that costs about the same and has none of these issues. Stay with me. Brand 2, Applegate Natural Uncured Beef Hot Dogs. Here it is, the one. Applegate is the brand health-conscious parents reach for when they decide they're done buying the cheap stuff. It's in the natural food section. It has clean packaging. It costs about twice what Oscar Mayer costs. The front of the package says, prominently, no added nitrates or nitrites. Go back to the first thing I told you, about celery powder. Applegate's uncured hot dogs use celery juice as the curing agent. The nitrate chemistry that happens inside that hot dog is functionally the same as conventional curing. The USDA required disclaimer is right there on the back label, except for those naturally occurring in celery juice, exactly as the law requires. You are paying a significant premium for a product whose primary health claim, no nitrates, is, at best, a technicality. The nitrates are there. They came from a different plant source. The marketing on the front of the package directly contradicts what the back of the package is legally required to say. That is not illegal. I want to be clear about that. But the gap between what you think you're buying and what you're actually buying, that gap is wide enough that I think you deserve to know about it. If you've been specifically buying Applegate because of the uncured label, drop that in the comments, because I genuinely believe most people watching this right now don't know this yet, and most of them switch to Applegate thinking they solved the problem. Brand 1, store brand hot dogs without specific meat disclosure. This is a category, not one brand, but it earns the top spot because it's in more fridges than every name brand on this list combined. Store brand Franks from major grocery chains routinely list mechanically separated chicken, pork with natural juices, and variety meats, without specifying cuts, without specifying organs, without giving you any real window into what the product actually contains. The USDA labeling rules permit this. Those rules were written to guarantee safety minimums. They were never designed to help you understand what you're eating. Those are two completely different jobs, and only one of them is actually being done. If the label doesn't tell you what specific cut of meat is in the hot dog, it's because there are no specific cuts of meat in the hot dog. If this is the kind of investigation you want more of, subscribe. We do one of these every week. Now here's the part that actually matters: what to buy instead. Nathan's famous beef franks: beef, water, salt, spices, paprika, sodium nitrite. They list the nitrite openly, which I respect more than hiding it behind celery powder. Mainstream price point: one of the cleanest shortlists in the conventional category. Boar's Head Beef Frankfurter, deli counter, gluten-free, no fillers, no corn syrup, no added sugar, real, natural casing. If you want a hot dog that actually tastes like beef, not beef-adjacent paste, this is your entry-level move. The snap when you bite it is real, and it matters more than people admit. Sabret all-beef frankfurters. These are the New York City street cart hot dogs. Beef, water, salt, spices, paprika, garlic, sodium nitrite. That's the complete list. No mechanically separated anything, no corn syrup. One of the shortest ingredient lists available in a mainstream product. Neiman Ranch uncured beef hot dogs. Yes, they use celery powder, so the nitrate caveat technically applies. But the underlying beef sourcing is meaningfully better. No antibiotics, no added hormones, verified humane raising standards. If you're going to pay the uncured premium, at least make sure what's underneath the marketing is actually higher quality. Here, it genuinely is. Welshire Farms Premium Beef Franks, certified organic. No antibiotics ever. One of the cleanest ingredient lists in the entire category. Around $9 to $10 for 6 franks. This is a conscious spend. Available at Whole Foods and most natural food retailers. If hot dogs are an occasional thing for you rather than a weekly staple, this is worth it in every measurable way. Trader Joe's all-natural uncured beef hot dogs, under $5. Short ingredient list: no mechanically separated meat, no corn syrup. Trader Joe's isn't always the answer to everything, but for hot dogs specifically, their house brand beef frank is one of the best value plays in the clean label space. Genuinely worth crossing the street for. Vermont Smoke and Cure. Uncured beef and pork franks, small brand. Takes sourcing seriously in a way the large brands simply don't. The reason this lands at number 1 is that the nitrate levels are documentably lower because they're not using high nitrate celery concentrate as a regulatory workaround the way most uncured brands are. Real hardwood smoke. Humanely raised animals. Available online and at specialty retailers. Not cheap. But if you're eating hot dogs occasionally and not daily, this is the one that actually earns what the word natural is supposed to mean, instead of borrowing the aesthetic of it while doing the same thing underneath. Here's what you actually know now that you didn't know 10 minutes ago. Uncured is a marketing term, not a health claim. The nitrates are still in the hot dog. They just arrived from a vegetable first, which changes the label and almost nothing else. The brands worth buying have short, honest ingredient lists with no mechanically separated meat, no vague variety meats language, and no corn syrup filling gaps. One thing you can do today: flip whatever's in your fridge and check 2 things: mechanically separated meat anywhere in the list and corn syrup in the first 5 ingredients. If either is there, you now know exactly what to replace it with. Here's the thing that stuck with me after all of this. USDA labeling rules were written to protect you from unsafe food. They were never written to help you make an informed choice. Those are 2 different jobs, and only one of them is being done. The word natural on a food label has no legal definition, none. It means exactly what the brand wants it to mean. Now you know how to look past it.